Hello, dear community. I thought to share another one of the conversations that I had lately, and this time with Christian Lell. Now, you might know him as a player of football in Bayern Munich club, and he's played in many teams, and he's done a lot of things and gotten like the top of the world of sports. And then he had a spiritual awakening and actually did the bioenergy program. And then we had a conversation, and I thought you'd be interested. So I'm putting this up here, and I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, here we go. So all we have to do is say hi, Christian.
Hi, Ehud. Are we ready to go?
That's the next question. Cheers.
Yes. Cheers. Nice to meet you.
And let's have some good time together.
Absolutely.
So I think maybe we start with a bit of chit chat and warm up into our conversation. I understand we have basically met on the media, on the internet, and I got to know a bit of your life story, but I'm interested to hear some more. And yeah, I'm sure you've got some questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a couple of weeks ago when we connected through Instagram, through the technology and the digitalization, which is beautiful. And it's pretty interesting if you allow me to start a little bit to speak about my life and
Sure.
how we come to the point that we're sitting here together and speak together. Because when I look back, and I don't even have to look long back, let's say 2 years maybe, it wouldn't be possible that we sitting together here and speak. Just because, let's say, I wouldn't be ready back then. I was in a complete different state of mind and living and circumstances. So
Yeah.
what I don't want to say it's good or bad, but things changed in life, and yeah, and that's the reason why we most probably resonate now, and our careers, about our lives, what happened and what changed and what happened, why we end up in certain
Yeah.
points. So
Well, I was kind of looking into your story, and it seems like they're two different people, two different persons. The one, yachts and football and sports and living the life. And then the person I'm speaking to today, that in a way left a lot of that behind. And I wonder what actually happened, because really, when I follow and I look at your stories, you're much more into a spiritual life, much more into a different life from the sports person.
yeah, that's what I at the beginning said. There took a reminding place. I was short about saying that took a change place, but as deeper I dive in a spiritual way of living, I I remind myself before speaking that took a change place. It's a reminding what took place, and you said you're seeing two different kind of personalities when you look at the internet and seeing me now. Yeah, what happened? The soccer life or the life I was living before. Well, let's start even from the childhood, because everything, at least here on the in the matter and on this world, starts when we manifest ourselves in our beautiful bodies. The journey started very unconscious, very unsecure in an environment, yeah, where let's say it could be a bit better than it was. And I make now a short overview to let our community understand, or especially you community
Yeah.
understand where I come
Yeah.
from. And then we can, if you want and you're interested, we can dive in deeper, and then so also the other way around. So it was like more or less the time till the teenage time 13, where where I grow up in a not really solid environment in childhood. And then I found to soccer. I found to my first passion in life, and I I always liked it a lot in my teenage age, and somehow I accelerated into getting playing in nice clubs in Germany or also in Spain, and won the one or the other title. So it turns out pretty well. And then after my soccer career, I decided to become an entrepreneur for the last 10 years in my life, which are my 30s. And as you noticed, my life, you said I lived my life in the past. Yes, yes and no. I would say now in my 40s with all these experiences and huge ups and huge downs, now I'm gonna really live my life. It's funny. This morning I had a situation when I was walking throughout my garden. It was still dark. The sun was rising, and then I looked in the sky and I say, and something within just spoke with me and said, Christian, when Ehud is asking you how long you were unconsciously living, what would you answer? And then instantly something within told me, yeah, the last time when I was without ego was in the night when I was 9 years old and turned to my 10th birthday. I think till 9 it was really a childhood where it was not really beautiful and nice, but somehow I had this childish energy within and the hope and the faith. And then when it turns to 10, and later I can tell you why, till my 40th birthday. So the answer on Eel's question, if you would ask me how long you didn't live a conscious way of living. And I must answer you 30 years. I was in a half sleep. I wasn't awakened. I was driven by ego. I was driven by the external success where I was learned and got taught from my parents, from the society, from so-called friends I had, and so on and so on. And yeah, that's a little bit in a short, in a couple of words, a
Yeah.
little overview of my bio. And as I was making your course the last weeks, I didn't finish it yet completely, but I know exactly that you feel how beautiful the feeling is after I starting removing all these layers I was collecting. You feel
Yeah.
me and you know it, and we can definitely bring our communities, my experience, your experience, how we get there, why we get there. That's also a very interesting point, I think, to speak about how people starting to get awakened. And yeah, but for the beginning, it's a lot of things about my life. If you don't mind, I would be super, super curious to hear something from you, because one question I have here on my book after I finished 7 chapters um, was, and I hope I noted it correctly, but with 13, you experienced a life, something special that you left your body,
Yeah.
and that was the first time when you experienced that. And I was 9 when I turned 10, so we somehow had the same age when something beautiful happened to us or something unexpected happened to us. And I'm very curious to hear about your story.
Okay. So that's definitely a nice opening. And, people are always asking me about the spiritual journey. When did your spiritual journey begin? Or when did you have a spiritual awakening? And then I like to say a few words about that because I actually am not searching for a spiritual journey or awakening because the way I understand it, a spirit, you, me, spirits come to this planet for a human journey, for a human experience. Because being in the
Yeah.
spirit or being in the energy worlds or before we begin to form up in the womb, collecting many, many things, we are spiritual. And the spirit wants to grow, wants to learn, wants to have opportunities. And it cannot have it in the spirit world. It has to come into a physical body. So I think we are very, very lucky to have been born into a physical body. maybe even chosen our parents, chosen the background to be born into because of life lessons that we wished to have in this lifetime. So when I think about life, I think the spirit comes into a human experience. And then the question is, as you said, when do we wake up? Because the planet at this time in history is going through, I'd call it dark ages, but I think that's been going on now for a few thousand years. And the awakening, it's less a personal thing. I think it's more a planetary thing to which we chose to come and help. That's the way I think about it. Actually, on a mission, and spirits arriving here at this time, coming with maybe ancient intelligence, maybe thousands or more years of experience, arriving here at this time into a kind of a fog, like an early morning where there's this fog, and slowly this fog is being evaporated by the sun as the day goes on. And I think this is this time of transformation that we are actually born into. And because of the fog of our parents, because of the fog at the school, because of the fog of what's actually important, we find ourselves, doing things because we're expected to. I was expected to be a professor of medicine like my father. I was expected to be all kinds of things, but something in me was strong enough.
You say expected,
Expected.
expected, expect. Yeah, okay. From okay, already that
Look, I,
external.
I grew
Get yeah.
up. I grew
Mm,
up in a
mm-hmm.
scientific medical home. My father being a professor, a scientist, a doctor, a surgeon, a head of the surgical department in the hospital. And I was sent to a very good school, which was, the way to indoctrinate children in the right direction. A very scientific school. And at the same time, I was doing judo and karate and swimming, and I loved sports, but I found myself spending 6, 7 hours a day in school and then another 5 or 6 doing homework. And the idea was I would
Mm,
continue on into university. And I did. I studied a year
mm.
of biology in the university. And it wasn't exactly what I was searching for. So I moved over and I studied psychology. But at the same time, this whole world of, new age was beginning to open up. So during the studies of biology and psychology, I was studying chakras and meridians and meditation and gemstones and healing and getting into this whole, let's call it, other world that was not what was expected of me. My father, rest in peace, once said, I was expecting a doctor, but I received a medicine man, a shaman. Yeah. So,
Almost the same, but but the detail is
yeah,
the
yeah.
important thing, like always.
Well, I like to believe that I actually succeed in bridging between the worlds of science and the worlds of ancient human knowledge that is part of all the societies in the world and all the tribes in the world and all the ancient people and cultures, because everybody speaks about the same things. And then, science comes and says, can we prove it? Otherwise, it's not scientific. But this kind of bridge is getting stronger and the difference is getting slowly wiped away.
Thank you. That's very very interesting. You said, um, in what age, just out of curiosity, did you give the inner voice of that you maybe are looking for something deeper or different that other people expected from you? Um, when was that? How old you have been?
Well, as a child, I was not aware that I am in a way different. What I mean is that I was very sensitive. I was sensitive to energy. I was sensitive to people. I was sensitive to animals. I was taking care of animals from a very young age. Today, I might call it healing or bioenergy, but then it was people bringing me their sick or injured animals. And for me, it was totally natural to feel energy, to see things, even to hear certain messages. But in a way, it also went down a bit because I spoke less about it. I was less
Mm,
aware of it. And then when I
mm,
was 13, I had this experience, which was an out of body experience while I was awake. Because beforehand, it used to be, dreaming like Peter Pan that you can fly, but it was not a conscious thing. It was like when you're sleeping and you have this experience of flying around and being in places. I was speaking, I was talking, and at the same time, suddenly it was as if my talking went into automation, continued to talk, but
mm.
I was up high above the class, looking
Wow.
down and seeing people, and suddenly seeing myself standing and talking.
Mm.
And
Facing
whoop,
yourself.
I found myself back inside.
Mm,
So, and this I forgot, by the way. It's not that from that moment something shifted. It was so otherworldly or so bizarre or so strange at the moment,
mm,
I totally forgot about it. And it took another 7 or 8 years for that to become again conscious with the
mm,
perception of a OBE, an out of body experience, or an
mm,
astral traveling, which for
mm,
me is something I immediately started learning about, studying from cultures of South America and, what the Aborigines talk about, dream time when they leave their body, and in different Sufi and different Kabbalistic and different archives. There's a lot of knowledge about this when you start to search.
Wow, I mean, this is. I I thought I have a certain degree of consciousness, and I feel and experience they do have, but when I listen to you, there's definitely more to discover and to experience. If you allow me,
Well, I
yeah,
believe you are now in the journey of discovery, and I think it is very important to look back at those 30 years as an accomplishment, not a waste of time, because you built up so many strengths and so many values and so many abilities to withstand pressure, to see
mm,
what is an ego, to live the life of comfortability, money, yachts, you name it. You know about these things and you can leave them behind. For many
mm,
people, a journey of the spirit is difficult because of the inveiglement, because of the
mm,
kind of covering their eyes and thinking what they really want is a bigger house or more money. And once you've been there, I think you have a freedom that most people do not have in your journey today. So you can actually, in a couple of years, do a journey that might take 50, 60 years for someone who is still dreaming about their Porsche.
you said something at the very beginning, that people, once they recognize a certain, in their eyes it's a change. If people see me 10 years ago and see me now, they would say there's a big change. Like I told at the very beginning, for me it's not a change, it's just a remembering who I really are. So there's
Yeah,
nothing to change. Literally, people speaking often about there's a before and now is an after.
yeah,
But I say it's exactly the opposite. There's an after, and once you get awakened, you get just where you have been before, right? Because you come here pretty perfect and whole, and you collect just all the layers. So it's not an before and after. It's an after, and once you experience it, you are in the conditions as before. And then they ask me, how what happened, and how can we experience, we want to find it as well. And in my case, I never was looking for anything. I never was. I never was searching for anything, as I was so trapped in my ego. I was not even thinking about that there is something more than I want to have and I want to achieve, and what I have is what I am, and what I think is
But
what I
I will
am,
tell you
and so on.
something, Christian, I will tell you something.
Yeah.
That little child inside, that little Christian inside, that little child never stopped to want to live its life fully.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to come now, because throughout my even my last 30 years, and you say something so good, it's perfectly what happened. Even many of the moments were a lot very painful in the childhood, and as all of us we have our problems, but also all the highs I had, all the success and all the peaks where I achieved, they were absolutely important, in order to start the progress of reflecting and
Yeah,
asking, hey, consistently hunting for something new, a new success, or these ups and downs, even though, why always is this happening? That, and the pain literally went so high at the end that I said, wow, uh, there's something more. So, and back to what you said, that even the little Christian never got lost. I completely agree, because once I dived in meditation, now comes a funny part, what I discovered once I reflected on everything. I said, okay, meditation. No, no, this is something you didn't do it the first time in your life. This voice, make meditation, comes from somewhere. And then I was thinking about, and I say, ha, now I got it. In the night before my first professional soccer game, it was around 20 years ago. However, in the night before, I was so nervous, and that I sat down, and don't ask me where it comes from, because my parents don't meditate. I don't know. Meditate, it was
yeah,
never anything in our life. Something within said, sit down, breathe, meditate. And I don't know what is meant, but I just made it. And then when you go deeper and deeper throughout the childhood, the night, what I was saying before, from my 9th to my 10th birthday, and also after that, always the voice is coming and saying, hey, there is so much more.
yeah,
Don't but the destruction externally and the ego is so big that the noise is so loud, at least myself, I didn't put attention on it, and then I got lost and lost and lost
yeah,
and lost till the moment that I finally got all the experiences that I needed to have and that I chose to get when I before I went here in this body, um, that I was ready to finally listen to it and give it more attention and
yeah,
train on it and get in the silence. Because for me, and it's just my truth, I would not say that's just what I experienced through the silence the last years. I came back home, and that's for me the only key to maintenance it and stay in the truth, which is the heart, and to break it down on the bottom. And yes, and on the way there, when I see people like you and this beautiful course you're offering, of course, there's a new field. What I
yeah,
maybe subconsciously I somehow notice it, but now when you train it and you put your focus on it, they're opening even more doors, and that's very interesting. So I would, if you don't mind, maybe we can go also a little bit in this bioenergy experience.
yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, as you are speaking, you are saying things, and I feel my mind is pulling strings because I said this word, I want to say something about it. And he said this, I want to, because
Yeah,
as
same
you
here.
speak, you're touching upon so much. Because even just the word to say, you know, being silent, when you take the word silent and you mix the letters, what you get is the word listen. So actually, to
Mm,
be silent can allow you to listen. And when you
mm,
listen, you can hear things not only from outside, also from inside. Because if you take the word silent and you mix it, you get listen. But if you mix the word listen, you get lets in. So being silent lets
mm.
in something if you listen. And maybe that night before the
You
first
have the
game,
same. You have the same with impression and expression. Pression,
absolutely.
impression,
Well,
expression. I learned it
the
in your course.
English, yeah, the English language is amazing because, it comes even from the Latin. So you'd have many of the same things in the German language and in other European languages. You said you came here and then you had to uncover many things to clear away. And people don't realize that a journey of development is not about collecting more and more. It's about shedding and getting rid. And actually, if you take the Latin word, if you take the word Latin for cover or velum, velum is like if you have an onion, you have on it many, many, many velum. And the English word for velum is velope. So if you say envelope, you take a piece of paper and you envelope it, you put on it a cover.
Mm.
So develop is to actually take off the cover. So you're trying to peel away. Development is getting rid to get back to that seed, to get back to that spiritual part that came here in order to grow and experience. Definitely, the bioenergy course is something that I put together because I see we are in a time of awakening, but there is no clear path. I mean, people will go into many different things and believe they can in one weekend, totally change their life or, you know, try this chemical or ayahuasca or whatever and expect that to do the job, but it doesn't. It opens your eyes, it shows you that there is another possibility, or it shows you that there is a different reality. But then, how do you live your life connected to all of these higher human abilities?
I agree so much, but also the society and all the circumstances we're still living in, they're not making it really easy for us. So in order to having really the willpower and to set up, okay, I see certain things and I somehow feel them also. But it's easy and I'm used to going the other way. So I see it as well that we are changing and shifting and people getting curious, but there's so much, as you said, so much information that's also overwhelming in a way of where should I put my attention on. So on for myself, and I see now there's so much more to discover, but what helped me a lot is that I felt my heart is beating again. And that sounds so kitschy and that sounds so, yeah, your heart. But it is so deep because once, and that came together in my case with the identification of the ego. I did not even know that
Yeah,
there's an ego in a way and it was operating. But my heart, on one point of my life, actually, it was exactly my 40th birthday. And then we speak about timing and the right situation, the right person in the right moment in the life. I can agree totally. On my 40th birthday, I met someone where, first time in my life, I said, wow, there is something within. I never experienced this kind of feeling. This is so tuned. This is so
yeah.
beautiful. So at the end, maybe there's some, I'm still on the journey, but the heart and living from the heart and stay reminded of being there is at least for me one of the key the big bullets and the things where let me go throughout the day in a very peaceful mind. Of course, the meditation, the stillness, and all the layers we put away, they help us to stay in the connection or help me to stay in the connection. And the detachment as well. I needed also to really surrender this life and letting things back what were you used to about a decade or two, 20 years, 30 years. Um, yeah, it was a decision somehow, but it was worth it because I discovered a wonderful feeling what I got remembered. Could you resonate with that?
I believe that for the last hundreds of years, the world has gone a bit like a pendulum to becoming very, very brain orientated and moving away from the heart.
Mm,
We have in our brain, we actually have the two hemispheres. where the one is very intellectual and to do with mathematics and science, and the other is more artistic and musical. And somehow humanity has shifted over the last few hundred years. And I think as the pendulum went to one side, it's now swinging
Mm,
back, and more people are awakening. I mean, you can look at the hippies, in the 60s. Something was happening where people said, no, I don't want to go that way. I want to love and feel peace and happiness. Now, I don't think that end is also, going all the way to being happy. Then we wouldn't really do and achieve anything because we'd be just sitting and smiling. So, somewhere in the middle is where
mm.
development takes place. But
Yeah,
mostly our heart has been shut down. And when it
yeah.
begins to awaken, it demands to be happy, feeling connected, feeling other people, connected to them, taking time off to go into nature, hugging a dog, riding a horse, swimming in the sea. It's not intellectual.
Yeah, in this society, we're still saying that that's the simple life. Those are the little things. But actually, those are not the little things.
Yeah.
Those are the big and good things. And it might be a simple life, however you name it. It doesn't matter. That's really what is beautiful in life. And you said, yes, you said something with the meditation. Because once we started to communicate with each other, I have one video in mind. You were standing outside and you said, meditation, you're practicing meditation over 30 years or 40, 30 or 40, very long. And I also agree that we decide to come here to also experience the duality somehow. But the duality is dangerous, I guess, when the ego is on the driver's seat. Once the ego is spotted out and you know how to deal with and we need it and to achieve things, and as you said, not just sit back and smile and everything is happy, but when once it's on the driver's seat, I think the intention behind is set it up great. And what could and how could meditation be helpful to stay in this
Yeah.
awareness?
Well, again, even the word itself, meditation, when I say it, different people understand it in many different ways, because there's the meditation of the East, sitting and closing your eyes, and there is meditation in movement, and there is, I like to look at it as, when you shift one letter in the word and you move from meditation to medication. So I like to
Yeah,
look at
true. I remember that.
meditation as a kind of a healing process that is
Mm.
needed in order to go within, because we live usually with our five senses aiming out. What do I see? What can I hear? What do I smell? Do I feel? And we're very based outside because we need that, for survival. But then there is the looking into other places. And for me, meditation it started by learning a bit about what is called transcendental meditation. I was there in my teens, and this idea came along that you say a mantra and, something will happen. And you look at the flame of a candle and the world dissolves. And I remember the feeling, it was incredible. And then later on, I came upon books by Tuesday Lobsong Rampa, was writing many books, and one of them was to do with a meditation, and I tried it, and it was to do with breathing, closing one side, then the other, and it was amazing. And I remember waking up from it and not really knowing where I was or who I was. It was a very outstanding feeling. Another time, I remember sitting under a bush. I was 21, 22, sitting under a bush and people walking by, and I melted away. And the next thing I could hear were people calling my name, and I was hearing them from far, far, far away. So I began to realize again and again that there is some kind of other reality that is not outside, it's somewhere else. I didn't yet know exactly. And I started working with this, trying to breathe in different colors, trying to work with different rhythms and speeds through music and percussion. Um, I went into diving, and when you dive free diving and you go down and you want to hold your breath for 3 minutes and more, which I learned to do, you have to somehow go into a different state where you shut off your brain, because the brain is using 20% of the sugar and oxygen. So if you want to have oxygen for a long time, so these are all different modes of meditation. And what I teach these days are different forms according to different needs. One of the meditations I tell people to begin with, I call it the blue breathing meditation, because red and blue, like yin and yang, are two powers. And we come into this duality on the planet, which is these days very red, or orientated to result, quick, do, ego. And on the other hand, there's this blue, which is relax, take time, be happy. But the world is so red that we're breathing in energy that makes us anxious. It makes us basically not ourselves. And just by doing a certain breathing meditation, a person can relax, get his systems to be synchronized in a very calm frequency. And that is
Mm.
why also in the course, in the program, I begin with this blue breathing. And over the years, I've received so many, thank yous from people that this simple breathing technique made an immense change in their life. So I can call it a meditation. I can call a different meditation, a shielding meditation, because people in the world today are not aware how much they are influenced by other people's energies and thoughts and emotions. And if you're, in an important job, you're going to play a game, and there's 50,000 people in the arena who love you or hate you, they're all influencing you. If you're wearing,
Sometimes both in one game.
yeah, depends what you did. Yeah, when you got
Exactly.
your own goal. But
Exactly.
even the colors you wear, because you're wearing red or you're wearing blue and yellow, and all of the fans are wearing the same frequency. So when they're going,
Mm.
whoa, whoa, they're sending you bioenergy of your frequency. I've been to a football game where everybody was against us and we won 3-0. And
Mm.
they were screaming, but something else was assisting. You can call it belief, you can call it something was giving this energy to help the players. So you're going out there and you want your bio field to have a bio shield, so you're less
Mm.
influenced by people who want to steal your energy. It can be at a dinner party, it can be
Mm.
anywhere people go.
Bioenergy. And you say meditation and circumstances.
Yeah.
Would you agree, and did you experience also? Because when I look back to my life and I compare my state of my mind of state in my highs and how I feel when I was down and where I have been in this period of my time, I see some patterns of my energy when I was so-called successful, let's say successful in the society point of view, with money and projects, etc. And when I had difficult times, and I look which energy I was carrying with me in that time, I see this is absolutely clear. There's I attracting this because I have that
Yeah.
state of mind. So
Yeah.
my question is the meditation and the stillness and the clarity you were speaking about and the coherence, is it also attracting coherence, clarity, positivity, or the other way around when you're disbalanced? Or is it just
When a person is disbalanced, it's the time when they least feel they can go and do something for themselves. They want to take a pill or alcohol and detach. But it's like when you're angry, if you can just take yourself into a shower and stand in the shower for 5 minutes, you come out different. So water can take away negative energy. And energies are different kinds. You know, we have red energy, which is good for us to do things, and we have green energy, which is good for us to begin things and be creative. And we have yellow energy, which is to do with the emotional state, and white to do with thinking, and so on. And there's higher energies. I mean, if you're doing the program, you've already got to the Penta Power meditation, which is there to balance the five energy structures that are usually out of balance in everybody in the world. So one
Mm.
person will have more, yellow, and one will have more green, and one will be lacking in white or over too much in red. So, in a way, meditation, again, I use the word medication, it's coming to
Mm.
rebalance, but also to charge the batteries. I mean, think of when you look at your cell phone and you see the little lines are going down and you've got 1% left, and you go into the state of anxiety. That's how many of our systems feel when they have lack of energy. And most people don't sleep correctly, so they don't recharge enough during the night. Well, you're opening up so many things here, but that's exactly why I put this program together. Because when people want to make a shift, want to connect to their higher
Mm.
abilities, want to be able to see energy, to sense energy, to heal themselves, it's a healing, it's a self healing program. Uh, what took me 40 years to learn, I want to pass it on to people in a very condensed way. It takes
Mm.
a few months of work instead of years and years, if people are, really taking this as a project into their life.
That's I wanted to say, and you said it in the last sentence. You need to be will to do it, and you need to want to experience it in order to get the benefit out of it. Um, there's another question, if you if you don't mind. We're speaking about frequency and energy. Are those the same, or would you say we are energy and operating in a certain frequency, depending in which mood we are
Yeah.
or how balanced we are? And would you say, if yes, would you say when we are balanced and when we are coherent, that we are operating from a higher frequency, which automatically brings or brings happiness, brings joy, and all that? Or would you say energy and frequency is literally the same?
Well, again, I would say that different people use these words differently, because if you speak to a scientist or if you speak to a yogi, they use these
Mm.
words in a totally different way. So let's
Mm.
take the scientific understanding of frequency and say that there is a very, very, very wide range of frequencies, from very, very low to very, very high frequencies. And we can only
Mm.
see seven colors. So actually, from this band of never ending energies and frequencies, we are in a way rainbow people. We have the rainbow, and beyond the red we cannot see, but beyond the red we
Mm.
have infrared. It's a frequency. It's in your
Mm.
microwave, and a snake can see infrared. We don't. It's like we don't hear what a dog whistle
Mm.
sounds like. And we go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And again, it's the end of our
Mm.
sight. But there's ultraviolet. You put on a hat when you're in the sun, or cream, because ultraviolet can cause cancer. So we
Mm.
have a very narrow range of frequency scientifically. And then there's radio and gamma and X-ray, and there's so much going on, we don't see it. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Our aura, our aura has different frequencies, but with training, you can actually be able to see not only this rainbow, you can
Mm.
rise up to a different level. And I think this is what
Mm.
you're asking about, because then you can see energy. You can actually
Mm.
see the aura. You can look around
Mm.
your fingers and suddenly you see, energy flowing between your fingers. And that's not
Mm.
in the usual scientific range. So, yeah, no, I understand your question. I understand what you're saying, because we have a
I got
very
often the question, then, yeah, Christian, it's fine if I see the aura and I train my awareness now to be able to see it. But which outcome, so called, I have? Am I happier then? Am I more passionate? And I would say definitely yes. Because
yeah.
in order to see and develop your senses to see the aura and feel the aura, you're working with stillness, you're working with patience, you're working with meditation, and automatically, at least that's what I experienced. Again, it's not, it's always what I experience, but automatically, I get I got in a very calm state of mind, and I see all of a sudden circumstances where I was so annoyed, and now I face them and say, okay, here you are, thanks, and you can go. As a little example, would you link it that you say once you get aware to the aura biofield, automatically, or the bioenergy, automatically also you get a higher level of happiness, or you get more happy?
I'll ask you a question. Maybe yes, maybe no, you can answer it. But did you ever have a situation while playing the soccer, while running on the field, that the world slowed down and you knew where the ball was going to go and you could see all the players on the field?
Totally yes. And I was not even thinking. It's just
Okay.
happened. Like an intuition. Like you saw it happening before it really happened. Yeah. And that's
Okay.
I mean all the good
Now,
players. Yeah,
how
if
do
that was
you explain that scientifically?
there is that
So let's put
that's
science for a moment. Let's put science for a moment aside and say science is excellent. If you go out on the field today, you can probably play soccer better than
mm,
99.99999 people on this planet. You haven't lost it because it's in your muscle, it's in your
mm,
memory, but it's also in your aura and it's in your energies. And that is with you for life. Also, the fact that, you're playing a game and it's 2-0 against you, and you don't say, okay, let's go home.
mm,
Something in you collects the energy to be able
mm,
to go on, to get up again and do. And all these things are part of our journey. Now, our heart works on different energy than our brain.
mm,
Our lungs, our kidneys, our everything is working on different frequencies. And these are not necessarily the frequencies a scientist speaks about. But then I tell them, is there a difference between an ECG, if you're doing an electrocardiogram, or an EEG? Do you see different brain waves and different heart patterns? And they say, of course. you know, or I say, they say, I don't believe in energy. I say, do you love your wife? And he says, of course. And I say, can you prove it? Do you have a lovogram? Do you have an electrical thing that shows? And he says, no, I bring her flowers. So science is aware of the fact everything is energy. The feeling where you're sitting in a bus and you feel somebody looking at you from behind. Yeah. So people know this, people are aware about it. And the
mm,
more you begin to develop these abilities, seeing,
mm,
feeling, being silent, your whole system is enhanced. So you can be training in meditation and your energy sight switches on. Or you can
mm.
be breathing and suddenly you come out of it with a joy that you cannot explain to people. You just love everybody around you.
And let me ask you again, this moment you said out then you with the joy, is joy linked on high frequency, low frequency? Is the degree of happiness linked to a higher frequency or a lower frequency?
I think no. I think you can be the happiest person on the planet just because you're
Mm,
15 and you fell in love and you
mm,
don't know nothing about nothing and you're the
mm,
happiest person in the world.
mm,
Or, you're living a difficult life and you just had your first child. So
mm,
there are many things that connect us to joy or to
mm,
happiness, but
mm,
usually it's not sustainable. Most people don't live in a conscious, happy state. It's like an energy they use up on a birthday, on a wedding, and then it kind of goes down to normal.
Mm,
And I do believe that working in the energy worlds makes you more balanced, more satisfied with life, more
mm,
able to accept things that maybe in the past would throw you out, cause you to feel terrible, have a week or
mm,
two disconnected. And now it's
mm.
more, like you have in these children's kindergartens, you have this kind of bubble that you knock it down and it stands up. It's got a weight at the bottom. And I think life becomes more, you get up quicker and you go on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Otherwise, you'd be lying on the grass in the stadium, holding your leg and going, oh, instead of
yes,
getting up and running along.
absolutely. The balancing, the synchronicity, the balance that literally within is the key then to a more solid and stable
I
emotional.
believe so, yes. I'm interested to ask you because you started doing the program, and
Yeah.
maybe you can tell me what it has done for you so far.
Yeah, I had last evening. I had an interesting moment. It was about 8:30 dinner time. I was sitting outside after working with a friend, and and I looked over her shoulder to the plants in the back. So it was still bright. There was the blue sky in the back of the plants, and I said to my friend, I said, I looked at her and I looked again to the plant, and
I'm going
I said.
crazy.
Not really, because obviously I'm training it right now, and it wasn't blue, so it was white with light blue on the edges, and it faded away very quickly. So I needed to leave the plant and go back with my eyes, and then I saw it again. So I believed always in energy, as throughout my life I experienced that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I meet persons, and I felt that I know them already, even then I didn't know them. So I was always open to energies, and even though manifestation and visualizations, etc. And it worked. I could never explain it, obviously. But now, as deeper I dive, I start to see all these things. But
Yeah.
again, for me, that my life was so in chaos in the past. For me, by now, for sure, there's coming more. But by now, the inner peace throughout all these informations, throughout inform myself about bioenergy, about meditation. The peace within is for me now, and for my community. This is now the main question: what we have, we person as a human being, out of it in a chaotic way. And I can say you get a big amount of inner peace and patience. And then, of course, when you start to see the things then as well, and you can play with the bioenergy, and I did all that. That's so interesting. That's deepening the experience,
Yeah.
and more you of course, when you experience things you like, you dive in deeper, obviously, and when they help you and make you feel happy, even more. And that's actually where I am. So right now, myself, when I see, not always, but I see and it needs a blue background. I see the energy around plants.
Sometimes when people begin to see, when people have these first flashes of seeing energy, they kind of go, and it
Mm,
disappears. Yeah.
mm,
Or they get so excited that they change their energy state from the
mm,
relaxed, calm, and it disappears. But then with training, you can actually get to a point where you can see things and you can see them all the time. For
mm,
me, when I was a child, I had to train how not to see it because if I got
mm,
on a bus or if I was standing
mm,
with people, I could hear noise, like people's thoughts, and I would feel, uncomfortable. So I had to
mm,
learn how to shut this down. And then over the years, I had to learn again how to open it more and more.
mm,
But you can get to the point where you see things in people's aura. And I've taken that, into the worlds of healing, because in order to help a person, say, with an addiction, you want to be
mm,
able to see where it is in their aura, where the problem is. It's connected to their emotion, to their belief, to their fear, to their things they've been doing so many times in their life. and you train yourself to be able to see things a bit like a doctor would look at a Röntgen X-ray and see things that others don't usually see.
Mm.
So training and being able is first of all a self kind of healing, and later on it's something that goes out into your family, into your community. The community that you have of people who are following you are beginning to believe that you're not crazy, you know
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, yes, I know. But there's another little example while you were speaking across my mind, and we all know that. Once we clean out our house, our apartment, however, or even our car, how good is the feeling when we go and wash our car and we think, yeah, it's because the car is clean now. Yeah, but this is not, I would say yes, but this is not the whole truth. I
exactly.
believe that the energy is changed, and you could feel also a nice feeling, even though the house is cleaned, but not everything is on the right place. You still would say, somehow, yeah, it was good
Yes.
that we cleaned it today. And that's a good example where you say, yeah, it's not just it's not just that the things are in the place. It's because
Yeah,
you cleaned the
exactly.
energy, and the people experience that.
Yeah,
Everyone
people
experiences
can
that.
see it when it's the opposite also. They can come into a house, they're invited for dinner or drinks,
Yes,
and they come
yes,
into a house and everything is clean and perfect, but the couple just had a fight. And you come
yes,
into the house and you
yes.
feel something's wrong.
Mm.
Yeah.
I tell you something, a little thing. I didn't do it before I made your course because you said clean the walls and the ceiling as well. Where this is something where honestly I didn't do it in the past, and I did it, and that has a massive impact of the energy in the
Because
house because
everything that
the
you feel and everything that
wow, wow,
you
wow.
send out, it gets
I
stuck
forgot
to
to
the
tell you
wall.
that.
And not only
Mm,
you, if you move into a house somebody else lived in, you're moving into their problems, into their aura, into their
mm.
energies, into everything they left behind.
Can
So, yeah,
now it's an interesting thing that because once I got more and more aware of all this what we are speaking about, when I look back, especially recently the last 2 years, I escaped lots of places where I was going before.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just thinking about, how do I feel there? No, let's stay in, let's stay, however, somewhere else. So that's also another thing.
yeah,
The places
yeah,
where you go, you
yeah,
feel it, and
sure.
everyone can prove it by
You know,
himself as well.
over the years, I've traveled everywhere in the world to
Mm,
mostly help people. I get a phone call, a plane ticket, all expenses paid, come. So I
mm,
find myself in all these like best hotels and whatever, but sometimes you come in and you want to run away. And if
exactly.
I want to do a special healing procedure, then I need to make sure the place itself is clean. And I'll go to a
Mm,
hotel and it's 5 star and it's clean. And I call up the reception and I say, I need to clean the room. And, what are you talking about? But it's not
mm,
clean. And if I put on incense, then the smoke alarm goes off. So I need to
mm,
use bells and candles and do specific cleaning processes because otherwise I cannot sleep there.
mm,
So definitely going places, you want to clear the places, but also yourself, the idea
mm,
of grounding, the idea that you can actually take off your shoes and stand barefoot on the earth,
mm,
on the grass,
mhm,
by the sea,
mm,
and actually have a cleaning process going on because our feet are a bit like the exhaust of a car. It's where poisons
mhm,
go out from. That's why they do reflexology on the foot to help open things up. So if you just take your shoes off and stand and ground yourself, you're having a healing, you're changing your energies. But, many people live in the city. Many people cannot take their shoes off and walk on the concrete and sidewalks. And actually, at the moment, I'm putting out a new type of grounding. I call it rooting, but it's a grounding meditation that enables people to change their state, to do a mental and mind grounding, which is much more than just sitting on, the lawn or putting your back on a tree. So this is something that I'm going to be doing now because I see the world needs a grounding that can be done and can be, lived with wherever you are. So this is really going to
Mm,
be a revolution because most people think
mm,
grounding is just go and stand,
mm,
touch a tree, hug a bush. There's so much going on. You're doing the program now, but when you get to chapter 9, chapter
mhm,
9 isn't in the program. Chapter 9 is a meeting personally with me that people
mm,
have. And every
mm,
time a group of people that has done the full course finishes chapter 8, they get invited to a very intimate group meeting. And what I do then, based on the fact that they have changed their energies over the last few months, some people they do it in 3 months, some people the course takes them 4 or 5 months. But when they finish, they're invited, and we do a very special process of moving up from the penta energies and from the rainbow energies into a new domain of higher possible human abilities. And that's when people say they started to switch on, extrasensory perceptions, ESP, and being able to look forwards into time and being able to know what's
mm,
happening in other places. These are
mm,
trainings that people can do. The CIA used to do training for soldiers to be able to send their mind astrally to a different place.
mm.
And
Wow.
the US military was paying millions for this course of distant sight. And these are things that are natural human abilities. You were
Mm,
speaking about early teens when you had a shift at the age of 10, or I had something at the age of 13. Something happens around those times because our biology, our puberty,
mm,
there's a shift, there's a change, but it's not only chemistry and becoming a man or a lady or whatever, it's something else is made able to switch on. And then there are other switching ons or quickenings that are possible, but they're not automatic. It's not automatic
mm,
like puberty. It happens
mm.
like a switch goes click, click, and we are different. These higher human
Those are the.
abilities, they
This is what you
demand
speak about training
they
and
demand,
multimedia.
yeah, they demand a different kind of switching on, which is not automatic. And that's learning
Mm,
how to work with your energies. That's learning how to breathe in and take higher energies. And you can find this in yoga. In the higher levels of yoga, you get pranayama, or you even get kundalini. And if you
mm,
go to the higher levels of knowledge in South America, the Olmecs, the Toltecs, if you read books by Carlos Castaneda, you are coming into knowledge of things that are natural. And if you
mm,
go, to South of African tribes and New Zealand and Scotland and Australia, everywhere you go, you'll get the Aborigines or the Druids or the Sufis, and they're all talking about the same thing. We are not just a body, we are
mm,
not just a body, we are a being. That's why we are
mm.
human beings living in a body. We are
Yeah,
spirits coming here
the
to
other day,
experience.
yes, it's so that's what we are. But literally, we are thinking human doings in our society. You're saying exchanging bio energies when you enter a room or you go to a place or you meet persons. How long you need to stay in a room or with another person in order to exchange the energy and take the energy from someone else? Can you say, or in other words, can you?
It's
Yeah, because
instantaneous.
instantaneous. Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay,
don't
yeah.
even need to meet the person. Just
Even the
thinking about the
shielding is
person.
not really helping in your shielding meditation.
No, the shielding helps. It helps. But I'll tell you something, Christian. When you think about someone you don't like, yeah,
Mm,
it's instantaneous. If someone has done something to you in the past and has wronged you, you don't need to
mm,
meet them physically. It's enough that you think
yeah,
about them.
yeah.
So, bioenergy exchange is happening all the time. It's happening all the
Mm,
time. Today again, the science has names for it, like string theory or names like quantum theory. And science is saying if you take two, parts of an atom and separate them and put one in Germany and one in New York, if you move the one, the other moves at the same time. So this is science. Science
Mm.
knows that we're all interconnected. Science
Yeah.
knows this. I'd love to invite you to come to chapter 9 because it will open your eyes even more. But you do need to finish the program, Christian, because the program brings you to the place where I can take you further. So
Mm.
this is incentive to continue and finish the course and continue to do the meditations regularly. I mean, there are many, but you don't
Mm.
have to do all of them every day. But definitely keep yourself in a heightened awareness, in a being state. And
Yes.
yeah, people pick it up. People are sensing something is changing. And,
Mm.
I see it in your stories, I see it in your eyes. I pick it up from you before we started this conversation, just thinking about you. So,
Mm.
this shift that's happening in you is also shifting other people that are in contact. And here I'll use the word and open. Because if a person is totally shut, all they will hear is the news, the radio, the
Mm.
restaurant, the new car. But something sometimes needs to happen in a life. And I saw a bit about your biography. Yeah, when something a bit extreme happens, we're open for a short time because question arise about life and death, and question
Mm.
arise about why am I here. And those are like little openings in the aura. The bio shield kind of goes boop, and in your biofield, something new can come in. And it can touch something inside that's been there since before you were born. And it's like a spark going zzz, like you want to ignite a car and you take the cables and you give a spark to the battery and vroom, it wakes up. Because our machinery is perfect. It's like a brand new car with a flat battery. You fly somewhere, you leave your car at the airport, you come back, the car is perfect, but the battery's dead. And then nothing works. No electricity, no radio, no lights, no ignition, nothing. And all you need to do is get this charge. Sometimes you will get it from another person. Sometimes you
Yes.
will get it from a book. Sometimes you will be in a music concert and you will be touched. People use this. There was electricity in the air and something. People's awakening happen in all kinds of places.
Mm.
And the question is, do they go on with it or only say, I had an
Mm.
experience and fall back into everyday life? And I think for you, the special thing is you're on a mission, you're on a journey, and you're touching other people's lives. You're igniting other people's lives. Oh, I need to try
Mm.
that. Does it work when I do it? Oh, yes, it does.
Yeah. Let's do it together then.
One, two, three.
Wow.
Okay, I like this. Listen, I think this is
Yeah.
probably a good place to end and definitely say, let's go on, let's continue. I have to go.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yes.
I feel a good vibe with you because somehow you ignite me. And then it's a reciprocal thing, it starts to go, boom, ta da!
Here we go. Yeah. With the fireworks. Ehud,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if there's
Amazing
something
verses.
you
Yeah.
wish, if there's
Yeah.
something you
No.
wish to say, like before we end, then please.
I think that was a really inspiring time. Thanks for all that information, and I'm pretty sure that my community now gets way more excited
Well, I'd
about
like
the
to welcome
anniversary.
them, if they're
Yeah,
watching and if they're here and if they made it till the end and it's actually interesting for them,
yeah.
then, most welcome. They can come and, have a look in my social media. And for people who are interested, I think this program is definitely a lifesaver in the world of today.
I will finish it. I have two more chapters, and then maybe we work on, and I will make a little summary for my community. Ehud, thank you so much for the
Thank
time.
you,
It was a
Christian.
pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet you. Yes,
And
and all the
as we
best. See
say,
you soon.
tschüss.